minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Cordova, Dr. Arvizu, thank you for being here today. Sounds like we just have votes. I just wanted to follow up, Dr. Arvizu, with a comment from the gentleman from Michigan, or question. In talking about renewable energy research, Secretary Moniz was here earlier today, and in all the discussions, I've not heard any talk about this vast resource of biomass that we have here in our country. We had 10 million acres of forest land burned last year. If you go through all the conversions and calculations and estimates per acre, you come up with the equivalent on an energy basis of about 26 billion gallons of gasoline that went up in flames on just on our federal lands. That doesn't count all the other biomass that we have. So my question is, why aren't we focusing more on utilizing those biomass resources versus algae or corn ethanol or other activities to research and find better ways to use biomass in a drop-in liquid fuel?
That's a great question, sir, and I think I'm a big fan of also using all of our renewable resources, including biomass, especially those that we consider waste streams, or things that are kind of left over after we cultivate either ag or other types of crops. And I think there is still a lot of work to be done. I think one of the concerns that I believe we have is we have kind of an unequal approach to the way in which we fund basic research across the entire spectrum. So I think there is room for that. Now, being a former DOE person as opposed to a current DOE person, my own personal opinions about that are that there is a great deal of opportunity there to do continued research on taking essentially carbons, oxygens, and hydrogen atoms and reconfiguring them for useful purposes such as high-density energy fuels, which I think is very possible.
And there was a significant increase in biofuels research in the budget I was looking at earlier, but there was no mention of partnering with the Forest Service or any kind of woody biomass research in there. So I would just encourage you to please take a look at that, and I think that could help us out on multiple levels. Dr. Cordova, a quick question for you. In 2013, the President announced the BRAIN Initiative, a multi-agency effort with the important, ambitious goal of better understanding the brain and finding treatments for brain disorders. Last year, the NSF proposed a major ramp-up in funding for understanding the brain research, but nearly flat funding this year. I know in this committee we passed out the READ Act, which has to do with learning disorders, dyslexia, which the research that's there shows that about 90% of learning disorders are associated with dyslexia. And there's been a lot of great research done at Yale on that. But where are we on the brain research and on the funding for the READ Act? I think it was $2.5 million mandated that have to be spent on dyslexia research.
Right, okay, and so on the READ Act, we, as you know, that is enacted in FY17, but we're getting a head start on it. Well, first of all, we have been funding research on disabilities, including dyslexia, for some time. But on the specific act, we're getting a head start by issuing a Dear Colleague letter this year to get the community stimulated to start thinking about writing proposals that we can fund when the act comes into force in FY17. So we're committed to doing that, and as I said, it's been part of the fabric of NSF is to support research on disability for some time. On the brain, NSF has doubled its investments from 2012 to 2016, from $71 million to $147 million. And I think you'd say that that is quite a growth. And so we're taking this year, being as a year of budget constraints, to take a pause, assess what have we learned from the brain research that we've been investing in, and what where are the new directions where NSF uniquely among all the agencies can then move forward in subsequent years. So we're very, very much committed to the brain, understanding the brain. And this, again, is an all-directorate effort. We have the social and behavioral sciences engaged, obviously the biological sciences, but also the physicists and engineers are engaged because what we need is better imaging techniques, improved technology.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I now